Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, we can't say we haven't seen this coming. Yes, now apparently massive issue in Denmark when cows are getting ill, loads of different issues, and of course a lot of them are now dropping dead. And to be fair guys, if you, like myself, been following the whole Bovaer situation since it started, it's pretty much was really inevitable. It is one of those things when the government or somebody creates a quick solution to a problem that doesn't exist. They say they do all the necessary research and things are fine and safe and everything's dandy, and then short amount of time thereafter the issues happening and suddenly becomes a bit of a oops moment. Funny thing is that nobody seems to want to take the responsibility for the oops, and they're still saying that everything's still fine, everything's okay, and this is not what's causing a problem, which is, I think, is absolutely horrendous. So anyway, for any of you who's not aware what the Bovaer is, I'm not going to be really beating this around the bush, it's kind of out there, but there are some people that are not really aware what it is. It's basically the cow feed additives that's meant to be added on to the cow feed to make sure that the cows produce less methane, all in the name of the global warming and the environment and that kind of thing. You know, the agenda that we always talk about. So nonetheless, right, that was introduced the end of last year. And of course, the company that was introducing that apparently carried out a lot of research and telling us that things are absolutely safe and absolutely okay. And they even published the research paper to tell us what or tell the farmers, in fact, what sort of the impact it had on the rats, right? So this is where the problem was. There was loads of information there, guys. There've been a lot of, I've done a lot of videos on that information where they talked about the specific words that have been used when it comes to the reporting, reporting the findings of the research. But nonetheless, according to them, everything was fine and it was absolutely safe. That's great. But of course, a lot of us had a lot of reservations, and it's been a year and it's kind of gone a bit quiet because, well, we already have an upheave with the milk and everything else. People kind of made their choices, but now suddenly, obviously, whatever's happening in Denmark now is kind of sort of lifted it all out again and they created a massive hoo-ha. So anyway, so the problem is now, right, Denmark, a lot of farmers reporting in different places, and it's not just like a hearsay on Facebook, that apparently there are a lot of cows are now falling ill, they have different issues, they're losing appetite, they're losing weight, and a lot of them are just now dropping dead. And of course, it's only natural the farmers are putting two and two together and saying, well, this is what's happening. And the reason you might think, well, why is that? Well, apparently, because Denmark is actually one of the first countries introduced a Bovaer as a mandatory as of the October 2025. So the whole thing, they've been told they basically either have to increase the fat content of the feed or use the Bovaer additive at least 80 days a year. So we're talking about 1,400 farms, okay, now have to feed the Bovaer to the cows. So far, up to 40 farms have already reported the problems, okay? 40 farms. And this is so far, that's just what's been reported. If you think about it, it's been about a month since it's been rolled out. So it's only natural. It's going to take a little time for this to basically come out in the public. But according to DSM anyway, the company that's produced the additive, they're still saying this is totally normal. This is totally safe. And apparently the findings that the farmers are now finding is got nothing to do or doesn't correlate to the research they have carried out on the Bovaer additive. Again, it makes you wonder, and of course they're going to be washing their hands off, but the fact is their findings were trialed on rats and some other small animals, not cows, and yet this is who they're currently feeding the additive. So anyway, so apparently, while we're thinking, my thought was why we're thinking it's just the Danish farmers are kicking off. But apparently the Danish farmers are rather open and the things come up. So if something happens, they just publicly go and speak it out loud. There's a potential but what might have caused that is because of the Danish cows eat a lot of clover, so it might have specific effects because obviously the Bovaer additive is an additive that goes in the stomach, suppresses methane. So there's a potential thought maybe that their diet and the additive doesn't quite add up. But this is where the common logic was and common sense when we talked about it last year when it was just happening. All well and good doing things in the lab, but every country, the feed, everything's different. Nobody seemed to really consider the whole fact of how things are going to be reacting to, in the cow's stomachs, in the different places, mixed with the different feeds, different grasses, that kind of thing. Nobody thought about it, but there's a possibility why the Danish ones are currently the first ones to sort of kick off. At the same time, again, they're the first one that really roll this out on a big scale. So I think it's only natural. You're kind of like speeding up the process of true results, if that makes sense, because anywhere else, okay, it's not an optional, but they are a small scale trials, okay? So you might have a couple of farms or 30 farms, whatever, in each country. They're doing this to selected amount of stock. So now with Denmark being literally pretty much all of the farmers now have to do this, it's kind of inevitable that the true colors or true results are coming up in the open. And it's not, as I said, guys, this is not just the kind of the public thing that's floating about, people making stuff up. It is not. So apparently in the real world evidence, we have the Farmers Weekly in Agriland report. So multiple Danish farmers report cow's death and the illness after the Bovaer introduction. Aarhus University apparently confirms reduced feed intake in studies. So they're now investigating behavioral changes and the welfare impact. And of course, the DSM still saying this is not corresponding to their global findings. So this is not, like I said, not just people just coming out randomly. There are now university and other people actually investigating and finding things that potentially be a bit like, that's a bit dodgy. So anyhow, things don't particularly look that good. See, the trouble is, okay, somebody might again think why this is only, again, happening in Denmark, on the top of the fact that obviously they are the first ones to introduce such a massive scale. Also the point, if you think about it, the whole that Bovaer, the climate thing, it's basically been introduced as a climate hero, okay? Everybody, every country keep going on about it as a good thing, and this is something we need to do. The same happens in UK as well. So this is a big thing. This is a part of really, really big global agenda. So can you now imagine, right, suddenly the backlash happened? They're not really going to be publicly speaking out, because obviously different countries, different rules, and have different ethos about how things are gone about. So generally on a smaller scale, and because of the non-disclosure contract as well, a lot of those little farms are not publicly allowed to be talking about those kind of issues, right? So technically, chances are every or majority of those farms in different countries and here in UK experiencing a problem, but because of the non-disclosure, they'll be dealing and talking to, say, the manufacturer, feed additive directly rather than going public, because they're generally not going to be allowed. Because you can imagine, okay, they had a massive backlash when they introduced the Bovaer. A lot of people, like I said already, made their choices with the milk, whether they chose to buy from that company at all or not. And now, if this is coming out, right, in more than one country, it's going to create a massive problem. So it's inevitable. They are, as a company who produces the thing, going to be keeping the lid on that really, really tightly. Specifically as well, right, and we mentioned this before, is a big thing. They're the ones that producing, DSM, that produce the Bovaer. They're the ones that run their trials, and they're the ones that funded the trials. So if you put two and two together, okay, you got to understand, right? When you have a company that's producing or wants to produce something on a global scale to help the global crisis, okay, it's only natural that if you're funding this and you're the one that producing the report, you can really just, I can write a report on myself, and of course, it's always going to be only good things, if that makes sense. So hopefully it gives you a bit of understanding. So now I think it's going to be a massive upheaval. You can see people like kicking off again because it's a big deal. Okay, having a one thing of, cows maybe not eating, but when the cows are now apparently actually dropping dead, farmers are really not happy. And some farmers are now trying to opt out of the, not say the contract, because I can't, they're trying to just stop doing that. Because just imagine, this is your livelihood, and then suddenly your animals are, starting to really feel not really well or die. You're going to stop the additive regardless whether they tell you this is safe or not. So there we are. It's going to be very interesting in the next few days. As I said, guys, I'm sorry I haven't done this video earlier. I did say to you on the live chat on Thursday, I was going to be bringing this out, but that just didn't happen. But it's going to be really interesting to see what's going to be happening, whether there's going to be other leaks of information coming out from different countries, whether farmers are going to be saying the same sort of thing, because somehow I find it difficult to believe that it's just going to be just Denmark alone that are having that problem. What potentially will happen is we're going to start maybe see the issues appearing slowly in this country, I said, purely due to the concentration of the trials. Okay, it's kind of an obvious, if every farm's in Denmark's doing this, it's natural that if the issues come in, there'll be a bigger scale issues, like if only 20 or 30 farms in UK doing that. So it's kind of natural progression. So we'll have to watch the space. So fingers crossed, obviously we'll find out some more information. I'm hoping, right, we're going to be having some very important and very interesting guests coming in to talk about that kind of issue from, as we say, from a horse's mouth, hopefully. So please tune in for that one. Otherwise, guys, yes, keep an eye on obviously more videos. We're going to be covering that, of course, because there seems to be like a big deal. So anyway, don't forget, thumbs up, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, so you don't miss any future videos. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.